All right. I think we got it going now. We had the internet stop, start, kind of like it's like a cold January morning, but it's not January. This is a beautiful, beautiful June day, the tail end of June, last day of June, and our last show of June. Our Monarchs Mocha in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Oh, the sounds of the coffee shop. I just brewed me a fresh one right here, folks. Just got me a fresh one. Let's check the audio, and I've got us. One. All right, welcome to another edition of Monarchs Mocha here on your Thursday. As we wrap up the series with the Cleburne Railroaders. I meant to bring that down, and I just kind of stopped it right there. Sorry about that. Glad you're along. Of course, the show where we like to run highlights when we have good news highlights, but we didn't have any good news last night. We had some news. It was fun. I'll tell you that. Actually, let me reverse the camera here because I like to have Nick in his normal spot. So let's just not mirror the camera. There we go. There we go. He's in the store. See, if I mirror the camera, you just saw him switch. He went from one side of the room to the other like that. Just like I snapped my fingers, he went flying across the room. The beauty of the computer. Well, a couple losses here. Not something that's been happening a lot lately. And like I say, every time we've discussed a loss this last week or two, you're still 13 games above 500, still leading the league in about every category, just chasing Fargo. Although last night Chicago's win did put the percentage points ahead of you for second place, but they're in the other division, so meh. Sure, you like to have that top record, right? You want to have that, but I mean, you've already beaten Chicago. What 5 out of 6 times. So anyway. 4-game series tonight, so you're looking for a split. Cleburne's looking for a win. This has been the spot in the rotation with Lewis Thorpe going where this team just seems to explode offensively. And I don't know if it's because just the timing of it or I think it's more than anything else, just the way the ball's bounced. I don't think you can ever say the offense, because we always talk about this, especially in big league starts where guys don't get any run support. He's gotten plenty, but he's also been very good. Whether it be but he's had a lot of run support. It just seems like this offense, when Lewis Thorpe is on the hill for the Monarchs, they rock. And I expect that tonight. Of course, last night they rocked as well, just to the tune of a loss. Usually, and I will tell you this, how many times have we talked about this over the years where, well, gosh, we could just score some more runs, but offense wasn't the problem. It was just, it's like Joe talked about the post game last night, and I'm sure he'll tell us today as well, that it is, it's the three pieces. The recipe is the pitching, offense, and defense, and you specialize it down to the bullpen or the starters. And the Monarchs were good in situational hitting last night. They did the things they've been doing. Just one of those nights when you fell behind big. Grand slam for Nick Shumpert was a big one. That really got their offense, turned a 2-1 ball game into a 5-2 game, and suddenly you're playing catch up all night. It's Cleburne's problems have not been their 3, 4, 5 guys. Really, their offenses, even though it's not produced at the level the Monarchs had, it's not really been on them. It's been on their starting staff. Starting staff came in, another guy last night with a high ERA in the 6s who got him 100-plus pitches, and Garrett Alexander. He was very yeoman-like last night, but again, for the 5th time this year, he topped the 100-pitch mark and, kept them in the ball game. The Monarchs with Akeem Bostic, who I thought was in a good spot last night, and egg on my face, but Akeem and he started strong, but something just wasn't right last night. And I think you noticed during the broadcast, if you're watching us on AA Baseball TV, or if you were listening to the broadcast, you remember Mike Hinneman went out there, and he's done this lately. If Mike sees something early, he doesn't like. He's come out of that seat down there and come out, and he did come out early. And you saw, and I love what these catchers do. Both Alexis Almeida and JC Escada, they're meeting their pitcher on the baseline. Oftentimes you do meet your guy, on the way to the dugout, but they're getting out there, meeting them in advance, and trying to sort out what's going on. And last night, Akeem just didn't have what he's had, and the Monarchs more than anything else needed innings. And the thing about this offense is you don't got to go out and throw quality starts every time, because you're going to get, in a loss, you're going to get 6 runs, 7 runs. Hell, you've lost 2 games this week where you scored 10 runs and 9 runs. I tell you that 9 times out of 10, you scored 10 or 9, you're going to win those games. So it was only the second time this year Kansas City scored 7+ runs and lost the ball game. So, that's just kind of the quirks of the numbers. The numbers do not lie. When we get into the season, the numbers won't lie, and these are numbers that they stand out at you for a moment, they go away the next day, because usually the trends continue like this club's had, and I expect that to continue for the Monarchs. The only concern I really have, and it's not really something the Monarchs can control, it's that Winnipeg's on your bumper. Winnipeg's playing really good. They position themselves up for a really good July-August run, which is what you want in this league. There's 2 ways to go about it. Position yourself for a July-August run, or get yourself out in front. We're already ready for a July-August run, which the Monarchs and the Fargos have done. But Winnipeg's found themselves basically coming from the back and all the way now in 3rd place and right behind you by 3 games. And you've got a lot of games of them coming up in August, including 2 trips to Canada. And, be honestly, we always talk about that last week of the season being that last weekend, that Labor Day weekend being what it all comes down to. Positioning-wise, yes. But I think you may really know a lot more about where you sit after that trip to Winnipeg in August, because that will really be the telltale sign of how good's Winnipeg, where you are at. Of course, you're a long way to get there. Long way to go to get that spot, but, I think you're going to see that as we get closer. Questions and comments about last night? I don't think there's really anything. The 4-game series have been tricky for this club already. It was the 2 you played last year, very similar situation outside the Houston series. How do you look at it? Do you look at it like, well, they lost 2 of the first 3, or they won, bookends? I don't know if you can really tell much from it. I just think you're just going to start a new series tomorrow, but you want to close this thing out even, and then get things rolling, because you will see Cleveland again. It's an excellent chance to revenge. And you saw what the Monarchs did last time they saw a team again in less than a week. Kansas City, of course, got swept in Sioux City, returned the favor here. And it won't be that easy down in Cleveland, but Kansas City over the years has played very well there. So anyway, so that's kind of where we're coming from here. Game time tonight, 6:30, and I was just going to pull a couple notes up here.
And Tess, is your billing address with the card you're going
to couple things.
1001 Blake Street address?
Interesting note. The Monarchs now are 9-9 against Sioux Falls, Sioux City, and Cleveland. And those 3 teams were, I believe, combined 40 and 80. That's right. And it's the rest of your 14 losses, 9 have come against the 2 teams in the cellar, and 1 team just a step up the cellar. I don't know if you can read anything into that, but I think that is something that I think Joe sort of alluded to. Joe Capiatri alluded to last week, that he was talking about Cleveland playing better, and he's well aware that there's place in the schedule you should get healthy, but you got to go out there and do what you got to do. And he mentioned obviously their offense, but also their pitching. So
okay.
Last 2 games. Which games you talking about, man?
Okay, cool. No problem at all. If you were
Chris, I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Some just to be on the safe side, because our weekend's now filling up our Thursday.
So help me out with that. Run a little something more on that, because I'm not really sure what you're talking about. Cancel. You mean is that in the scoreboard, or?
There may be another group that's in that space, so just going to hold some tickets if you felt it was necessary.
And I'm not really sure what you mean by that, mate. Chris, a little more elaborate on that.
Like up to 10, that shouldn't be a problem.
Cleveland had played better. Yes, they have. Need it to even up for the road trip, no doubt. You know, and for them, hey, this is a great opportunity for Cleveland. It's not nearly as the same thing, Kenny, as last year. But when this team went to Lincoln, and Lincoln had the Monarchs number early on and took 2 or 3 in Lincoln, it really sort of catapulted things. And I remember John West talking about this in the off season on Rain Reborn, that, you know, it kind of was that, okay, we were okay. Now, Cleveland's way down the standings, but I think Cleveland looks at it from the standpoint they win today, a place they had really bad. I mean, they've only won prior to coming in the series 3 games here. And they could double that amount tonight and win a series against a team that's a lot of folks consider, you know, championship contenders and defending champion. There's that. You know, it's too early today. Well, not too early, but I mean, you know, I'm used to your humor, and I love your humor because you're the funniest dudes I know. but I didn't know you were being snarky. Okay, so yes, yeah. We canceled those last 2. We just throw them out. Yeah, the Sunday loss. This little tidbit too from the broadcast last night. Grand Slam home run again last night. The Monarchs only gave up 1 Grand Slam all of last year, and that was to Houston, who you beat every time. So yeah, I mean, Nick's laughing, going, did anybody have that? I'm going to ask that trivia question. Anybody know who the Grand Slam was to last year? No one had known that it was Houston, and yet you beat them every time. You gave up 3 Grand Slams. The only problem is the 3 you gave up, you've lost those 2 games, so there's that. But yes. Yes, I agree with you. We just can't. What we do is I'm going to go in the game notes today. I'm going to just put a little asterisk by them and kind of cancel those out and say postpone because of we'll play them under protest. How about that? Is that the way? Isn't that they used to do? Play under protest? Let's see here. I think Brad and Asher. Yes, I guarantee you, Asher, Brad's son. If you don't know what Kevin's talking about, Brad Allred, the voice of the Cleveland Railroaders, and a dear mate of mine. His son Asher, who's just this dynamite kiddo, and I feel like I know Asher fairly well. I was telling Asher this too the other day. I know him through he and Dad, because I've seen them at Stars games and Maverick games. I mean, they're big, you know, sports fans. You know, his father and son are, and I know Asher's but he got to be the bat boy. And it's funny because we were joking about this last night. I'm sure Logan Watkins is saying, "Well, Asher, you may just run the club because you're in town. You're the bat boy we've won. You've been in the booth we won." He just been given the lineup card, and so Asher can go back to school at Grandview in the fall, and everybody's going to be, you know, those first couple of days of school. Well, Tommy, what did you do this summer? Well, we went to Colorado and we went down to Galveston. Or Susie, what did you do? We went to Six Flags. We went to Disney World and went to my grandparents' lake house and all these things. And Asher's going to be sitting there kicking back in his seat. I envision the little desk, you know, where you had the desk back in the day, kind of looking around. Maybe he opens up the desk and just kind of looks down there at the lineup cards he has, closes that desk again. Asher, what'd you do this summer? He's going to say, well, I managed a ball team to a winning streak, and I managed a ball team to a postseason berth, and managed a baseball team, and was the bat boy, and was the radio guy, and all these things he can list. And all those kids will be going like, then to go home that night at dinner and say, hey, that Asher, he's a manager of a baseball team. He had a great summer. Why do our summers suck? Mom, Dad, why do our summers suck? Josh, got a kick out of that. So he has a lot to tell his mates when he goes back to school. But yeah, good to have him here, and good to have Brad back on the road again. That was good. I know Brad had some scheduling issues that he finally was able to resolve, and it was not anything more than that. And then he's back at it. But yes, good to have him back, and they're 2-0 with him in the ballpark. The only game they lost is the one they weren't here yet. So there's that. Of course, we could always say that the Monarchs are 0-2 against them with Jackson and I in the booth. There's that too. So we can always funny is Asher when a Kevin Santa's reindeer on out. You could very well be. I catch myself every time Kevin does something thinking about you, Stino, that I got to come up with a witty response to mirror you. Oh man, good stuff. Good stuff. Very good stuff. I love our fans. They're very humorous. Had a great crew last night again on the broadcast. We talked a lot of great stuff. My dear friend Ryan Hyatt, who's host a show out in Lubbock, and he was my first real broadcast partner. I hired him at KTXT, the campus station, to do sports breaks and all that. I was the sports director at the little campus station in Lubbock at Tech. He and I became dear mates. He took my job the next. It was a 1-year job. You got it, 1-year deal, and we covered sports together. And we had mutual friends. I had fraternity brothers that were buddies from high school, and he was from Lubbock, and his dad was a coach there and all that. So he's a West Texas guy, and we go way back, and we're dear mates. And he had me on his show in Lubbock back in February. I went out to Tech to watch Texas Tech play Baylor, which, by the way, KU, you've got great crowds. Texas Tech, great crowds. Probably the two best crowds I've ever seen in any sport, those two. And hoops crowds can be lethal. They're playing Baylor, and I was out for the week. Anyway, I went by the station, and he put me on the air for an hour. We talked Monarchs, old school stuff. And he's listening last night, and we were having some chuckles about, I just told the story Monday night to Jackson about the Shreveport going to the freeway, just barely making the game and all that thing. And then Ryan reminded me a bunch of stuff via text last night when we wound up going down a whole different way, and we started talking about barbecue here and all that. But it was great to have him tune in last night, and I just love it when old mates tune in and can bring a chuckle, because it makes I sometimes forget those stories. I think I was telling the story last night of can't remember what I was telling something last night that came from our conversations on the air. So, and we were chatting off the air last night about the Monarchs and all the things we talked about. We were talking about last night, and I don't know how much you guys heard, but this is the kind of thing we're doing on the radio, and you're hearing on the stream too, on the video side on A Baseball TV. We talked about this real crazy, bitter back and forth between the Monarchs and Satchel Paige, the Homestead Grays, and Composey, their owner and founder, and the Pittsburgh Telegraph newspaper there in Pittsburgh. This finger pointing, and really was sort of Monarchs versus Homesteads on one side of the fence, and one little fracas in the Pittsburgh paper pointing the finger at the Homesteads, and not so much on Satchel. And the reference was that Satchel could play a triple header and raise money and also sell Japanese submarines. And of course, this is 1943, so you're getting all the war reference there in 43, summer 43. And Page apparently had played in a game. The Monarchs had played a game at Yankee Stadium, drew 22,000 for a doubleheader. He played in Philly and played, I believe, in Washington. And this writer, this Keck was his name, the editor-in-chief of the sports page there. You say, Chief, we got to do champ. Anyway, he was ticked off and was saying that Pittsburgh wasn't a hick town, and that it was every bit the town that the other cities were, and that the fans deserve better, and that the Homestead Grays should refund the money because Satchel Paige didn't pitch in a game he was supposed to pitch. But Satchel showed up in his civvies, didn't want to pitch because he didn't feel good. He was sick or something and didn't feel like he was up to snuff. Oh, Joe Capietra had a guy that was sick, wouldn't play, scratch him in the lineup, right? I mean, you put him out there, he doesn't feel right, correct? Well, that's what Satchel did. And he watched the game in his civvies, and the newspaper was mad at the Homesteads for promoting it, and that they didn't get the money back. And so this whole back and forth that was going on was a great column last night. It's the kind of thing we unearth on our broadcast. Let's see here. Yeah, they are good. We had a really good night again last night. I was very happy. I haven't seen the video numbers yet, but very happy with that. Me too. And yes, exactly. Still, I didn't tell the story last night, and I was talking about this, I think, to Jackson off the air. But when I was a kid, and I think they did this, and they still might, but they did this at least 70s and 80s and maybe into the 90s. we have the rally towels, right? We all know what rally towels are. We get them out, and we got rally towels this weekend, and I'll show you those tomorrow. By the way, Morgan will join us tomorrow. But I got my days off. I thought today was Friday. Tomorrow's Friday, so she'll join us tomorrow on Friday. Tomorrow, Morgs. And but they used to have these things called the Beat the Yankee Hanky, and these were early rally towels. Okay, now you got the rally towel. But these are little handkerchiefs. And they had said beat the Yankees on them. That's what the Rangers giveaway was. Every time the Rangers play the Yankees, that's the best they could do because they were terrible. So they had these beat the Yankee hankies, and they'd wear these hankies, beat the Yankees. So every time I think of rally towels, I think of that. And every time I think of the Yankees, I think of the beat the hanky Yankees, or beat the Yankee hankies. There you go. They used to hand those out at Arlington Stadium, and I think the second incarnation of Arlington they handed out too. I don't know if I think now they do a rally towel, and but they used to do little handkerchiefs. And I don't know where I had a couple at one point, and I had them in my drawer in college. I don't know what I did with them, but they're important to have a beat the Yankee hanky. I mean, you couldn't beat them, so you had to use the hanky, right? I mean, that was the way it was. So anyway. What else did we learn last night? Well, we learned that Cleveland wears uniforms too. We also learned that this team can score runs, home runs, and do what they do. And again, there are going to be nights like this, but I'm going to tell you more times than not, it's not going to be the case of last night. And when you have a chance to beat this Kansas City Monarchs club, you better take it, because they're capable of ripping off 6, 7, 8 in a row anytime and win 3, 4 series in a row. And I mean, it's a chore. What Cleveland's done has been pretty impressive, but they've got to do it again next week. And check with me next Wednesday. If they won 3 more games against us, then I might be a little more concerned. But it's part of a season, and it's something we try to get too high, too low. I get the impression that the only thing Joe was upset about last night was the fact that they didn't get the innings they needed from the starter, Bostic, and that was it. And that if they could just got one more inning and kept the number down, you keep that, you give a double up to the grand slam, you probably win that game. Oh yes, good question. Very good question. Why do people always say that? Good question. Yes, last night on the broadcast, Jackson did give us this update, and we didn't even ask Joe because before they actually walked into his office, John Hernandez had passed Jackson in the hallway and was icing his finger, but it was not the entire hand. And he felt fine. He thought he was going to be good. So nothing. It wasn't a hand. It was a finger. And I don't know which finger it was. I think Jackson said it was he said it was this one right here, but I don't remember the ring finger. It was being iced. But if you saw him walk off the field, you were here last night. You saw him walk off the field. He was carrying the bats in one hand, his glove in the other. And I said that at the time. He got grazed the pitch on his hand and then rung up trying to dive out of the way. He was rung up as a strikeout. The rule actually states, and this is great work from Shaggy last night down the stands, he dug this up, that the swing is valid if it misses you, but you can't be hit by a pitch and be avoiding the swing. I'm sorry, you can't be hit by a pitch trying to avoid the ball and have the bat go around and be part of a strike. And that's what happened last night. And yeah, he was a little irritated last night. I would say that. Because again, he's got the ball comes up and in on him, boom, all across his hand. He's exposed. He's bending back and he's trying to dodge from that thing ricocheting off the hand to his face. And he's got you're doing everything you can to get the face out of the way because that thing's right at your head. Your natural reaction is to do this. He's doing this. So he does this, and he's got the bat here. And yes, his body does spin around, but he's trying to dodge the ball. Well, rule-wise, that's not a strike. Now, if it was up and in, and it missed him, and he went around, that's what the rule interpretation is. But last night, he was actually hit and trying to get out of the way of the ball, and that can't be a strike. But again, that's interpretation down there. Now, all I can assume is that JJ January thought that the ball didn't hit his hand, but clearly it did. And if you And after Jackson, I even asked Jackson, I said, it was hit, right? He goes, yeah, you can see it. Jackson looked right at it. No, I didn't see it from my seat, but it was clearly obvious he had something wrong because he was writhing in pain down there. And anyway, so and I look back at that situation, that would have got another runner aboard in the inning, and who knows what happens from there. But yes, exactly, Chris. I mean, again, technically, yes, he goes around. He did go around. If he doesn't get hit by the pitch, he went around. He got hit by the pitch, which that negates the swing, according to what we pulled up last night in the Major League rules. Now, I can pull it up here again, I guess. Let me see if I got it here. Let's read it to you. Per baseball rule 505B, a batter becomes a base runner and is awarded first base when he or his equipment, except for his bat, is touched by a pitch ball outside the strike zone, and he attempts to avoid it or had no opportunity to avoid it, and he did not swing at the pitch. If these conditions are met, the ball is dead. Other base runners advance if they are forced to vacate their bases by the batter taking first. Rule 509 further clarifies that a hit by pitch is also called when a pitch touches a batter's clothing. We know that. In case where a batter swings and a pitch hits him anyway, the ball is dead and a strike is called. Now, if the batter does not attempt to avoid the pitch, he is not awarded first base, and the pitch is ruled either a strike if it's in the strike zone or ball out of the strike zone. Umpires rarely make this call. Okay, so in case a batter swings and the pitch hits him anyway, the ball is dead and a strike is called. The batter does not attempt to avoid the pitch, he's awarded first base. So he attempted to avoid the pitch. So that negates anything. If you get hit in the strike zone, that's what they're saying, but he was hit out of the strike zone, up and in, trying to avoid the pitch. He meets all the criteria. All the criteria are met there. And getting a called strike when you try to get out of the way and go around and are not hit, but rarely it's called. And if you're attempting to get out of the way and you were hit even when swinging, and again, I don't know how he could not have avoided that. I mean, again, it's at my head, at my hands. My hands are here. I'm here. So his hands are right here. His hands are right here around his chest. He's bending back and he's trying to avoid it. And his body spins around and the bat goes around. Even though it hits his hand, he goes around and he winds up tumbling because he's trying to avoid it, and he also got hit. It's not a strike. But again, it's rarely called in its interpretation. So again, crazy stuff right there. All right. Last call for questions and comments tonight. I believe for them, I'm double checking here my notes on the wall. Kevin Hilton goes tonight. He's pitched in this league before, Texas, Cleveland, Winnipeg. You've seen him before, right-hander Kevin Hilton. Been a long time fixture in this league, facing Lewis Thorpe. And I guess this is a night where the Monarchs need innings, and then he runs. It's one of those weird nights where you probably need the innings more than anything else. You need the innings from Lewis, but the last couple times Lewis has been out there, the Monarchs have scored so many runs that he came out of the game after 5. So you're going to need 5, 6 would be great. 7 would be ideal, but you're going to have to get some innings tonight. For them, their bullpen, which spent so hard the night before in the extra inning game, they'll be back full strength tonight. But again, if you're out in front of this club, 6, 7, 8 runs, well, you're all good. So there we go. All right, that is the show. Roastery Coffee Company, 6 locations in Kansas City. I made my own right here. I had something different this week. I had some really good iced coffee last night, and I iced it overnight. And boy, it was frosty. It's like almost my fridge was so cold. It was almost like you ever had a really good cold draft in the summer? It was a cold draft coffee. That's how good it was. Get Roastery Coffee Company. Get the ballpark. They got a really good drink going on at the club level, the Legends Club, with some Roastery coffee in it. So we'll check that out. Maybe we'll taste test that this weekend. Jackson and I'll be on the air at 6:30. He'll have the Dugout Report. Last night, He had Nick Leon on and discussed operations. Who knows what he'll come up with tonight? We'll have Joe Cathlebietri with the top step. We'll also have something from the Monarchs vault, a couple of somethings actually tonight, and we'll do that at 6:30. The broadcast begins on MixLR and the AA Baseball TV, which also tonight is the association game of the week, which will be on Facebook and free for those folks. There goes AA Baseball TV. That won't be our call. It'll be Carter with the league. Will be calling that tonight with some guests, and don't know who he's got. I know he's reached out to a couple of folks locally, and we'll see if that works out. But AA Baseball TV, that's usually about 20 till ish. And then coming up on the radio side at 6:30 tonight, Monarchs and the Cleveland Railroaders. Had a little fun with trivia last night, too. Jackson did some trivia in the stands, and he's sort of taken off with this whole dogging it thing. Maybe we'll do some dogging it tonight. I don't know. Don't know what he's got up his sleeve. We'll find out tonight at 6:30 and the first pitch at 7 o'clock. And again, tonight, it's your Thursday night. It is Thursday. $2 domestic draws from 6 to 8 p.m. And again, this weekend, let me pull this over for you. Sorry, I'm going to go on the screen here. Sorry about this. It's not really on wave here. I got my hot sheet because I want to show this to you again. I meant to pull the graphic and I didn't, but here we go. I want you guys to see this whole weekend coming up. And we're going to talk about this tomorrow when she joins us. And I'll have her wireless mic charged up. She can join me from here. There we go. Jersey auction this weekend. There is all the information right there. Going on right now. Those are cool jerseys. So you want to check that out. Usually I put the graphic up, and I'll try to remember to do that tomorrow. Hey, just producing on the fly here. That will be, of course, this weekend coming up. I've got a big weekend. We'll talk all about it tomorrow. Got your concert on Sunday, fireworks on Saturday. Got the normal Friday fun where we have these Falcon skydivers, all that this weekend. 4th of July weekend. Sort of patriotic music, right? You guys got it. All right. 1, 2, 3, go Monarchs. You guys ready? I'm ready. We're all ready. We're all ready. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go Monarchs. I'll see you in the broadcast tonight, everybody. Actually, see you at 6 o'clock with Monarchs Live.